Why smart entrepreneurs start the Netherlands BV process 6 months before they plan to move, and what happens to those who don't. If you're planning to move to the Netherlands through your own Dutch company and you haven't started the process yet, your timeline is already tighter than you think. The mistake most people make, treating Netherlands immigration as something you start when you're ready to move. You finish your current commitments, wrap things up at home, and then begin the paperwork. The problem is that the process has a prerequisite, one that takes up to 6 months and has to run before your visa application can even start. The entrepreneurs who arrive on schedule know this. The ones who don't end up stuck outside the Netherlands, waiting for months longer than they planned. I've been working in Netherlands immigration and business setup for many years with clients from Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, Georgia, Nigeria, India, etc. The timing mistake is one of the most consistent things I see. Not because people are unprepared, not because nothing in their research makes this prerequisite visible until they hit it. Today I want to make it visible before you hit it, the hidden prerequisite. The route that works for most non-EU business owners is the highly skilled migrant permit via their own Dutch BV. You form a Dutch company, the company employs you, you get a residence permit. The part most people don't see coming. Before the company can employ you as an HSM, it needs to be a recognized sponsor. Recognized sponsor status is an IND registration that says this company is approved to hire highly skilled migrants. Without it, your BV cannot support your visa application. It's not an optional step, it's the prerequisite. And getting recognized sponsor status, depending on your situation, takes anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 months. You can't apply for your HSM permit until you have it. You can't have it until you have applied for it. And that process has its own review, its own requirements, its own timeline. This is the clock most people don't know is already running. The 3 recognized sponsor tracks. There are 3 scenarios, and they have very different timelines. Track 1. Your Dutch BV is more than 3 years old. If you have an existing Dutch company that's been operating for over 3 years, your recognized sponsor application goes directly to the IND. No RVO assessment required. Processing time, around 4 weeks. Most people starting this process from scratch don't have a 3-year-old BV, so track 1 isn't usually the relevant scenario. Track number 2. Your BV is less than 1.5 years old. This is the situation for any forming a new Dutch company. The recognized sponsor application doesn't go straight to the IND. It first goes to the RVO for assessment. The RVO evaluates the BV, so the business plan, the financial structure, organization, projected turnover, liquidity. The RVO needs to score 50 out of 100 points to approve recognized sponsor status. The review takes up to 6 months. 6 months where the clock is running, your BV exists, but you can't yet apply for your visa. Now, there is a third track that most people don't know about, and it changes the picture significantly. If your Dutch BV is formed as a subsidiary of an existing foreign company, a company you already own outside the Netherlands, you can apply for recognized sponsor status through the NFIA, the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency. The Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency pathway bypasses the RVO review. The IND makes a decision in 4 to 6 weeks. No 6-month assessment, no 50-point scoring, 4 to 6 weeks, and your BV is a recognized sponsor. So why does this matter? Because for most established non-EU business owners, people who already have an existing company in their home country or elsewhere, this track is available. Your Dutch BV becomes a subsidiary of your existing entity, and the timeline for the entire process drops dramatically. End to end, from starting the BV formation to having Dutch residency. Most clients using the NFIA pathway are done in 3 to 5 months. That's the estimated period. So what happens to people who start too late? Here is what the timing mistake actually looks like in practice. Someone decides they want to move to the Netherlands. They set a target. Let's say they want to be living there within 4 months. They start researching visas, they find the right route, HSM via their own BV. So here's the thing, they begin the BV formation process, and what happens? Month 1, BV is being formed, company isn't ready yet. Month 2, BV is registered. Recognized sponsor application submitted. RVO review starts. Month 3, 4, 5, waiting for RVO review. Can't apply for visa. Can't legally work in the Netherlands yet. Month 6. RVO approves recognized sponsor status. Visa application submitted. Month 7 or 8. Visa approved. They want to arrive in month 4. They arrived in month 7 or 8. 3 to 4 months late. Not because the process failed, but because they didn't know the recognized sponsor clock was already running when they started. The cost of starting late isn't just inconvenience. It's rent on 2 places. It's delayed contracts. It's family plans that don't work anymore. What smart entrepreneurs do differently? The entrepreneurs who arrive on their target date think about this differently. They don't ask, when should I start the process? They ask, when do I want to be living in the Netherlands? And then they count backwards. Want to arrive in October? Recognized sponsor application needs to be in by April at the latest. If you're on the standard RVO track, that means BV formation needs to start in March. If you have an existing company and can use the NFIA pathway, the timeline is tighter. 4 to 5 weeks for recognized sponsor status, then a few weeks for the visa, but they still need to know this and plan around it. The question to answer right now, do you have an existing company outside the Netherlands? Because the answer changes your timeline by several months. If yes, your BV can be a subsidiary. You may qualify for the NFIA pathway and the 3 to 5 month total timeline becomes realistic. If no, you're on a standard RVO track and 6 months of recognized sponsor review is what you're planning around. Either way, the planning starts from your target arrival date, not from your available bandwidth. The startup visa angle. One thing worth saying for people who have been researching the startup visa has its own timing. It also requires an application facilitator coordination and a 4 to 6 month IND review where you can't work, plus a year-end transition to the self-employed permit. If you're thinking the startup visa might be faster because I don't need the BV step, the processing times are similar and the startup visa adds a year-end conversion risk that the HSM route doesn't have. What's different about a startup visa clock? It doesn't have the recognized sponsor prerequisite, but it has a facilitator dependency and an RVO scoring requirements that creates its own lead time. If you're comparing the two and wondering which timeline is actually better for your situation, I made a video specifically on that comparison. I will link it here when it's up. 3 things. 1. The HSM permit via your own Dutch BV requires recognized sponsor status before your visa application can start. Getting recognized sponsor status takes up to 6 months on the standard track. This is the clock most people don't know is running. 2. If your Dutch BV can be formed as a subsidiary of an existing foreign company, the NFIA pathway cuts that timeline to 4 to 5 weeks, end-to-end 3 to 5 months. Whether this applies to your situation is the most important question to answer before you start planning. 3. The right way to plan is backwards from your target arrival date. If you haven't done that calculation yet, start there. If you want to see the full end-to-end timeline month by month from the decision to living in the Netherlands, I made a video on exactly that. I will link it here when it's up. Subscribe if you want weekly content on Netherlands immigration and business setup for non-EU entrepreneurs.